So tonight, we're gonna talk about fresh air. And air is not pure oxygen, as we know, because if it was pure oxygen, it would be very dangerous. It would be very flammable. Oxygen is just around 20-21% of our atmosphere. But there is something else in air that I believe is important for our health. It's called negative ions. So there's something positive about negatives. This is something that is good, actually. Negative ions are created in nature as air molecules break apart due to sunlight and moving air and water. We will see some of the sources of negative ions later. And when we inhale fresh air with lots of negative ions, we are able to clear our lungs, our respiratory tracts, and that enables us to breathe even deeper and longer. Now, how is it that these negative ions are able to help our lungs? You see, in your respiratory tract, if you use a microscope to see this, if you have powerful microscopes that could see through this, there's actually this hair-like structures in your respiratory system. Now, these hair-like structures, they're not actually hair, are like brooms. You see, what do you use the broom for? You use it to sweep, so that you can clean your house. And similarly, in your lungs, but they're like upside down, they clean your respiratory tracts. Now, their movement is towards going outward. So that they sweep the debris inside your lungs, all the dirt, the particulates that are in there, and they push it upward so that you can expel it. You can, when you cough, all those dirts that are inside your respiratory tract will be out. Now, interestingly, when you breathe air that has a lot of negative ions, they move faster so that they can sweep faster. They can clean your lungs faster. And according to our book, if there's a lot of positive ions, which means the air that you breathe is something that is not something that is low of those negative ions, the movement of these hair-like brooms in your respiratory tracts actually is slowed or is reduced. So where do you get these negative ions? You go out. You go out and breathe the air that is exposed to the sun. You can't just stay indoors. There's not much positive ions indoors. Or you can go hiking and look for places that there is moving water, like waterfalls. Who likes going to these places? Hiking, mountains, wow. These are the places that you should go if you want to breathe good air, fresh, good air. And if you are at home, you should have good ventilation. Make sure your windows are open so that there will be exchange of those gases inside your house and those that are outside, which is exposed to sun. Now, in our homes, we are usually, when we think of air pollution, we think of vehicles, of their exhaust and smoke outside. But there is actually something called indoor pollution. And indoors, some of the most common pollutions indoors are sprays, your pesticides. They have propellants and they have a lot of chemicals inside that are not very good to our health. The World Health Organization published something a few years ago. It was also published in The Economist. They said that there is a silent and deadly killer among the poor people. And they found out that those using this kind of stoves, when you use solid fuels like wood and charcoal, there's a lot of particulate matter that is being produced. And according to the World Health Organization, it causes around 2 million premature deaths every year, aside from that these materials easily catch fire. And so they have this problem. The poor people cannot afford stoves, and they're also the ones that are at risk for the health hazards of these particulates that are being produced when they use this kind of stoves for their cooking. So if you can avoid it, please do. But if you cannot, please don't do this kind of cooking inside your homes, where all the gases that are being produced while you cook are being trapped inside your house, and it could harm not just you, but your children and all the other members of your family. They found that it causes asthma, lung cancer. It's not just smoking. It's actually even the smoke that is coming from this inefficient kind of burning. Cataract formation, causing blindness later in the later ages of your, times of your life. And obviously, it causes burns for some people who are not so careful when they're cooking. But there is an indoor and actually an outdoor pollutant that is so common today, and it's obviously it's cigarette smoke. But why is it when we ask people to stop smoking, why is it that they cannot just give it up? Why can't they just stop smoking? Because cigarettes have a drug, an addicting drug called nicotine. And if you were here yesterday, I would just like to ask, what's the drug again in your caffeine? Oh, sorry, I said it. Oh, I'm sorry. What is the drug in your coffee? And it's also an alkaloid. That's why it's also addicting. That's why when you tell people, you shouldn't smoke, they just couldn't stop it because it is addicting. Just like caffeine in coffee, it is also addicting. Now, aside from the addicting drug in your smoke, nicotine, there are more than, some say it's 4,000, but there's 1,000, 3,000 chemicals that are there, from tar to formaldehyde to carcinogenic arsenic to deadly gases such as carbon monoxide. And there's just more and more chemicals being discovered that is found in your cigarette smoke. And in the Philippines, 17.3 million Filipinos smoke. That's 80%. And I mean, it's 80% of those 17 million smoke every day. And surprisingly, there is around 3 million of them are actually women, and still the majority are men. And if you ask them, they made a survey, 95% of smokers know that what they're doing is bad for their health. That's a sad part of it. Smoking leads to the #1 killer, the heart disease. Smoking leads to the #2 killer, stroke. And smoking leads to the #3 killer, which is lung cancer. So, if you're smoking, you're basically really going to get any of the top 3 killers in our country. Around 6 million Filipinos die each year of smoke-related illness. And if you count the numbers, if you translate it to something like that, that's like 33 of those jumbo jets crashing every day. That's the number of people dying from smoke-related illnesses every day. That's one that every 6 seconds. So from the time I started talking here to you tonight, it's around 50 probably. 50 people have died from smoke-related illnesses. And smoking can cause a slow and painful death. That's a healthy lung. This is somebody with cancer. Now, who among you here loves to swim? In the beach probably, or maybe in the swimming pool? Okay. How many of you here have experienced near drowning? Wow, there's near drowning? Really? Wow. Okay. Now, I have a friend. his dad actually passed away a year ago, and his father had lung cancer. And my friend said, my father, they were going in and out of the hospital for a few months already. And he said to me, my father just wanted to rest. He just wanted to go. But lung cancer just won't allow him to rest that fast. He was really tired already, and it was distressing financially for them. But lung cancer would just not let him go. And so tonight I would like you to imagine that you're drowning. Can you do that? Can you close your eyes and just imagine that you're drowning? How long would you think can you live drowning? Or maybe how long would you last until you pass out from drowning? I think it's just around anywhere between 2 to 5 minutes. You'll pass out. But if you try to imagine that you're drowning and you wouldn't die, just for the rest of the day you're just drowning, continuously drowning. And then you imagine that that happens for around 2 to 3 months. Every day, every minute of your life, you're just drowning. That's how my friend's father told my friend how he felt. He was like drowning from all the water in his lungs, but they just bring him to the hospital. They would give him drugs. He would be okay for a few hours, and then the cycle just goes on until my friend's father finally died. So it's a very slow process, and it's something that you really don't want to have. Dying from lung cancer is like drowning. And for those of you who are not smoking but are fond of going to places where there's a lot of smoke, please be warned that it has been around for many years now that second-hand smoke is just as bad as smoking. You will get the same illnesses if you're exposed too much to them. So please stay away from those places. Those who smoke, they say 60% of them actually wanted to quit, or half of them tried quitting. And so tonight, I would like, if you have a friend or somebody that you know that who wants to quit smoking, here are some tips probably that I could share. Number one, they should go to places that there's a no smoking area. They should go to places where smoking is not allowed, and they should avoid these things because they would remind them of smoking. Remember, cigarette has nicotine, which is addicting. Coffee has caffeine, which is addicting. And pretty much everywhere there's drinking, there's cigarette. So these are the things that they should avoid because they're connected to each other. They should have, instead of those drinks, they should drink water or fresh juice, fresh fruit juices. And do you know the smokers really if they put away their cigarettes, they have this tendency to look for something to hold, to replace those cigarette sticks. Now you can give them, you can advise them to just probably hold pencils or paper clips or coins, just to substitute something for their cigarette sticks. And if they're missing something to put in their mouth, they could try probably gums or carrots. Healthier probably, carrots. And they have to stay away from people and places that link you with smoking. So they shouldn't be going to places where their friends are smoking, where everybody's smoking. They should probably go to places like Esplanade, where they could just jog and not be exposed to those temptations of smoking. And if they feel that they're being tempted to smoke again, remind them to call a friend. They should call you or a family member when they need help, just like this man who calls his son for help. And his son said, Dad, please stop smoking. It's bad for my health. Yeah, it's for those of you who have children, please be aware that they are affected more than you. If you love your family, quit smoking. You see, you're gonna leave your family earlier if you don't stop smoking. Now, in 1 Corinthians 6:20, Paul says, "For ye are bought with a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body, which are God's." Your body belongs to God, and you should honor Him by taking care of your body. So go out there and breathe some fresh air, which will give you greater energy, a better brain function, less respiratory infections because your hair-like structures, the cilia in your respiratory tract, are moving much faster. You will have reduced depression and stress, and overall improvement in your health.